Thunder.
And AJ Radix.
And we are the PWX AWA Tag Team Champions, Extreme Thunder. And you're listening to the Smack Raw Podcast, baby.
Hey, you guys, welcome to the Smack Raw Podcast, your wrestling recap show where we cover WWE, AW, NXT, recaps, pay-per-view predictions, all that fun stuff. We're here to round out WrestleMania weekend. What a weekend, a long weekend, but nice, man. Quick question, you guys, before we roll into our hosts here. Quick question. 6 to 7 hour show or 3 to 3.5 hour shows?
Me personally, I'm all for this 2-night setup. 3.5 night shows, but that's because I'm watching from home. If I'm a fan that wants to attend WrestleMania, I'd be pretty pissed to pay for 2 nights or have to choose between the two. Very few people will have the funds to go to 2 WrestleManias.
That's a very good point.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, but I totally agree. Watching it from home over 2 nights is way better because, last year it was ridiculous, man. It was, I was falling asleep before the goddamn show was over. You know what I mean? It was.
Yeah.
So.
Same here, man. Same here. But, I prefer the 2 days, too. But I could see both points. Listen, you guys, we're a wrestling recap show. We are your host, myself. Kyle, of course, Kevin Crazy over there, and then the Tiger King himself, Mr. Vicente. Vicente Exotic. I'm only going to do that joke one more time, and then I'm just going to leave it. But
never leave it.
Yeah. But thank you guys for joining us tonight on the show. Wherever you're watching the live stream from or whatever podcast you're choosing to listen to after this, we're pretty much found everywhere that podcasting is consumed. We have a live stream tool, so it doesn't matter where you're watching us from. You can chat with us, and you know what? I should probably actually turn that on.
Yeah, it sounds important.
Yeah, you can chat with us, and we'll give you guys shout-outs and everything. On the air. Ask wrestling-based questions or non-wrestling questions. Screw it. Just interact with us. Have a fun time. The whole point of this show is just to feel like a couple friends hanging out, talking about wrestling in some sense of a professional, organized manner at times. Although if you watched the after party last night, which I have taken down by now,
boo.
Dude, there's no purpose for that to stay up on YouTube. That's a live stream experience by itself. No one goes back and watches my wife spend 45 minutes bagging on me and simultaneously hitting on Kevin and Vince on air.
I felt pretty good about it.
I bet you did, man.
I didn't see an issue with that.
Y'all had your egos boosted last night, man. So now y'all know what married life is like, man. You just get your balls busted in public.
Yo, man, I might as well be married. I've been with my girlfriend for almost 10 years, so
yeah.
I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
I'll tell you one bit of pain I'm feeling right now. If the camera's picking it up, I am sunburnt like hell today. Oh my God, man. My DSLR is picking. That's why I'm not wearing my hat. It is I was out doing yard work this morning for 4 hours, but it was cool out. And so I didn't feel the sun just baking my pale ass skin out there. Dude,
I just thought you really went in deep with the makeup on your face, and it just you didn't blend it together properly. I'm like, oh damn.
No, man, I'm burnt like crazy right now. Oh,
that
man.
Sucks.
It is what it is. Trust me, when you're as pale as me, you get used to being sunburnt.
Yeah.
But let's get into the show, you guys. For anyone joining the live stream, like I said, go ahead and chat with us, and we'll give you shout-outs on air. If you're too extreme, I'll just chat with you privately. We had a guy going off the other night. Holy moly.
Was it Goro something?
I think so. That was his name. I could only I was only able to repeat 30% of what that guy was saying.
Jesus.
Yeah,
if that.
If that.
That's why I want to get on the chat. I want to see. I want to follow it along. I'm not gonna go ahead and
just
chime
download the Restream program. I'll send you a link after the show.
But
But let's kick off the night, man. Let's kick off the night. WrestleMania opened similar to how it opened yesterday. Stephanie McMahon thanking us for joining them on night 2 of WrestleMania. This is the first time in 36 years of Mania there is a night 2, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah.
And then we get the same dollar value or Dollar General version of the Jack Sparrow intro,
yeah,
which
exact same one, right?
Yeah, exactly the same one.
yeah, exact same intro.
Whatever.
I liked it though, man. Hey, I thought it was cool. It still got me excited for night 2. I will say one thing I was bummed about is they had a chance to tongue-in-cheek plug their attendance record for the lowest attendance record for WrestleMania history. They could have just lobbed a joke somewhere in there. We didn't get it. I was hoping someone would, like Corey Graves. Corey Graves can say jokes like that pretty good. But anyways, we kicked the night off with the historic NXT Women's Championship match. Rhea Ripley taking on Charlotte Flair. Unlike some of other competitors that have faced Charlotte at WrestleMania, they gave this match time to work, man.
Absolutely.
Yes. And Charlotte, I knew from like within a minute, I was like, oh, we're going to hear every bit of Charlotte's trash talk because she's already loud in front of an audience, man.
Right.
Boy, man, her and Ripley were going off. Ripley was getting some good digs in there.
Yeah.
Did you guys peep how Rhea Ripley was basically wearing Vegeta gear for tonight's match?
I caught that reference.
Yeah, it was very similar to the Vegeta Super like his like Saiyan armor thing.
I saw a meme afterwards. That's how I knew. But I liked it. I thought it looked good.
Yeah, it did.
Definitely.
Yeah, she looked great. To my surprise, and I think the surprise of a lot of people, Charlotte ended up winning after having a match where she primarily worked over Ripley's knee. Ripley did get some offense. She got a riptide in early in there, but ultimately in the end, Ripley fell like so many before her to that figure 8 submission. Probably one of the most devastating submissions in all of pro wrestling as of right now.
It's up there. It's up there.
Once that bridge happens, there's like no getting out.
But one thing about this whole match is that I think it was way better than Becky versus Shayna, who everybody was figuring that was going to be the better match. I'm pretty sure going into this match, because there was a lack of Bianca Belair, because she like was sprinkled in at the start of this feud, and it was simmering down because of the lack of fans and the situation they were in. A lot of people weren't too hyped for this match, but this match delivered. Maybe it's because we came in with low expectations that they knocked it out of the park.
Maybe, man. That's a very good point. When you don't have too much hype on you, it gives you less pressure to work under, and if because expectations can ruin a great match. Like you can have a great match, and if you have too high of expectations, you can't appreciate it. You know.
Oh, for sure. So, is it like a foregone conclusion at this point that Charlotte's missed WrestleMania now? Like, every single match she's been in has been good, minus the main event last year. But I would argue that was more of a Ronda Rousey and Becky's fault, not Charlotte's. I feel like every WrestleMania match she's been involved in has been good to great.
Yeah, I can give her that.
Yeah.
I can give her that. Charlotte does have good. The thing about Charlotte matches. Oh, by the way, Jay is over here harassing me, telling me to plug hashtag SmackDrawMania. If you're watching this, please share the hashtag SmackDrawMania. All right, Jay, there you go.
I'll do you one better, Jay. I'll make that our WrestleMania big show pay-per-view. That's going to be our all-in. I'll call it SmackDown Mania for our 2K series.
Nice.
That's what we're going to call it. I'll make a logo for it and everything, man. Don't worry about it.
That's awesome.
The only thing about Charlotte is kind of like the criticism Rob has for her dad in Ric Flair. I don't know about Charlotte, man. I just don't get excited. I completely respect her, and I think she's one of the greatest wrestlers, like male or female apart. One of the best wrestlers on the planet. But with that being said, you do get that like John Cena-esque vibe from her, like walking into a match. It's like, okay, she has another big match. Like, you know, she's being given, not given, but You're so used to seeing her in the spotlight, and
Mm-hmm.
there's really no way to rectify that. I'm punishing somebody from being great at their job. Is essentially what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Jealousy.
Yeah. It's just
I mean,
it's just a stigma. It's just a stigma.
No. I hear you. It's a legitimate feeling because I feel the same way. I mean, why do you think dudes like Roman Reigns have been booed for so long? You know what I mean? Like, what's really wrong with that dude other than the fact that he wins?
The thing with Charlotte, she has like I want to say like 2 or 3 things going against her, going from like from the smarks or like the big hardcore fans. One, she's the daughter of Ric Flair, so for whatever reason, second generation wrestlers always have this stigma that they get handed stuff, even though some of them get hurt by that. Just look at Curtis Axel being Mr. Perfect Son. 2, she's one of, if not one, like one of the 4 members of the four horsewomen, and a lot of the fan base. I know Kyle's mentioned this. Like, I kind of want to see someone besides the horsewomen go at it or do something cool. But the issue recently is that, like, and it happens a lot. Unfortunately, a lot of the other women, they don't step up, or they're given a spot, and then for whatever reason something happens and they have to be brought back down, like Naomi with the injury, and then Carmella is just like not being the best in the ring type of thing, or Lacey Evans being thrust too soon. Because she's a horsewoman, she has this stigma of like, oh, they're shoved in our face, they're always the center of the division, even though that could be argued or debated regardless. And then 3, she's a blonde, so I know a lot of the female fans, there's a lot of female wrestling fans, they're like, I'm sick of all these blondes that Vince McMahon has a hard on for, and she's always getting this title. Like, oh, why don't you put it on a person of color? Like, she's gonna have those 3 stigmas attached to her throughout the rest of her career, and it's unfair because she's really good. And I agree with you, Kyle. A lot of the times, like during the build for this match, I wasn't into it. She has to be with someone that brings something out of her, like Bianca. When she was interacting with Bianca, I thought that was good. But in the match itself, when it's time for the belt to ring, she puts on a great match.
Hell yeah,
all the fucking time.
She can go. I will say this now. I am excited to see the NXT matchups with Charlotte now, though. That just guarantees we're going to see a whole bunch of new matches.
That was actually my question. One of the questions I forgot. Does this mean that Charlotte is NXT now, and is she going to stay on NXT? And what does that leave Andrade, given the whole situation where like you have to have a package deal with Aleister Black, Andrade, Selena, and Charlotte? Like, is this gonna ruin that whole setup?
One of 2 things will happen. Andrade will be NXT again, just shamelessly, and there will go Zelina Vega, and then there will go Aleister Black, just all of them sent back to NXT. Or, the NXT Championship will start getting defended at pay-per-views, like main roster pay-per-views, and on episodes of Raw, I believe. But I
don't think that would be the case. Like, you can't put that. It's not like you can't treat it like the ECW title.
You really can't take it away from NXT. So I think realistically, Charlotte and Andrade are probably going to have some time apart. Because there's so many people strung together. Is Charlotte's linked to Andrade, who's linked to Zelina Vega, who's linked to fucking Aleister Black. Unless you break up Vega and Andrade, which right now would be a good time to. But
given that you have Garza and Austin Theory with it.
Exactly.
But go ahead, Kevin. You were going to chime in with something?
Well, I was just gonna say too that like I feel like WWE is obviously trying to directly compete with AEW. So why wouldn't they want these big stars there? So like maybe they would feel comfortable with like sending all of them to NXT. You know what I mean? So
right. I mean, one other question that being that I'm the NXT guy, I should know what they have lined up next. This Wednesday, we're gonna have the number 1 contenders ladder match, and the winner of that ladder match is gonna get a chance at Charlotte for the NXT title. So it might just be like a temporary like pop in ratings for NXT, and then Charlotte goes back to Raw.
That's
where
true.
For like a couple of weeks she's on NXT, then she drops the title and goes back to Raw. Maybe it could be a situation like that. I'm over here just hoping that Io Shirai maybe wins that, and then or maybe a Bianca Belair gets a title shot for the NXT title, the Raw after WrestleMania, and then she brings the NXT title back to NXT, either Bianca or Io Shirai, because I feel like that's where I'd go at least.
All right. Following that is our Raw match of the night. Bobby Lashley taking on Aleister Black. There's really no highlight to this match, unfortunately. I mean, it was a quick match. Before I just piss all over it, it was a quick match. It was hard hitting. Bobby Lashley controlled pretty much 85 to 90% of the match, dominating Aleister Black. The cool story moment is that Lana was out there with him, and Bobby Lashley was setting up Black for the Dominator when Lana screamed at him from the ring apron and told him instead to go for a spear. So this prompted Lashley to set Black down, line up for the spear. Saw this coming a mile away. He eats a Black mass very nicely too, by the way.
Yeah.
To hit a Black mass mid momentum, with a more moving parts, that's got to be a little bit trickier to pull off.
It was nasty.
So then, the bigger question here is: are you guys thumbs up or thumbs down on Bobby Lashley's Ricochet gear? That's the big question.
I didn't even recognize it. I didn't.
Well,
the second Ricochet got taken off my TV, I just erased all memory of him.
Yeah, it's very similar to Ricochet's gear, minus the logos on the side. It's just Bobby Lashley logos that he usually has for his regular trunks. I don't know what the fuck it was with the tights, but I couldn't the entire match. I couldn't focus on the match. I was focusing on the tights. I'm like, why is he wearing pants now? I'm over here does he have a bruise? Has he been skipping leg day with the whole pandemic? What's really been going on? That was my question the entire time. It's I couldn't focus. I was focusing on his gear. So that was my whole issue the entire time.
That's silly. Hey, one thing that'll be pretty cool though is going to be the comedy segments of Lana just annoying the shit out of Lashley for the next month or two.
I know that's where they're going. That has to be where they're going.
Yeah, it's gonna be, dude. They've already done a couple bits where Lashley has screamed shut up, because Lana obviously is super loud. But yeah, it'll be fun watching the descent between the two of them. I believe they'll have that done right.
They better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Something else that's done right was this interview with Bayley. She's tired of people trying to drive a wedge between her and Sasha. She names drops social media, Instagram, Twitter, all of us saying that they're going to break up and we want them to face each other and wrestle each other. She walks off. I think it is Kayla Braxton. She asked Sasha, hey, look, you've won NXT Championship. You've won Raw Championship. You've never had that SmackDown belt, you're going to be trying to win it tonight. And Sasha just leaves her lingering with, you'll just have to wait and see.
Very well done by everyone involved.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
What else is
after
done?
that we had the Otis match, right?
No, we had Gronkowski on our screen. He may have won 3 Super Bowl championships, but tonight his sights are on the 24/7 title, and he says he will have that belt before the night ends. We're gonna talk about that segment for a little bit. It doesn't need to be dive too deep into, but I have some questions. But yeah, following that is the probably a lot of people's main event for the evening, rightfully so. Otis taking on Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler, who said he was going to be accompanied by Mandy Rose, is instead accompanied by Sonya Deville. And this match was... We knew this match wasn't going to be a 5-star classic, but everybody did their part, and it turned out good. Ziggler owned the initial beginning of the match. Otis started to get a second win, started tossing Ziggler around, who can bump like crazy for anybody. And then, of course... this leads to Sonya Deville to cause a distraction where Ziggler hits a low blow while the ref is distracted. This prompts Mandy Rose to come out. She jumps Sonya Deville. That's heartbreaking for Sonya. Then she ends up low blowing Dolph. Otis wins with the Caterpillar. They join in celebration, hold each other's hands. I love that Otis had to take a quadruple take at what Mandy was wearing. Because he'd look at her, he'd look again, that dude could not help himself, man. He was it was like my fat ass going back to a buffet for the 6th time, all right?
But, hey, you know what? Don't knock until you try it, man. I've gone to Old Country Buffet for breakfast, stayed till lunch, and then stayed for dinner. I've done it, man. I've done the thing.
Just set up your MacBook and just sit.
Oh yeah,
man. Let's make a day of it. I wonder what are the stipulations in a buffet? When can they kick you out?
Oh my God.
That's for you guys in the chat,
the
man.
key with the buffet is that you gotta keep a low profile. Don't make it too like noticeable that you've been sitting there for hours or the entire day. You have to keep it low key. You know, don't make too many trips. Just make enough trips to like last you for like a good hour or so. Then go make a second trip during the second hour. There's a whole strategy. I have a book actually. I'm coming out with a book, How to Battle the Buffet.
Buffet life hacks.
So I've had some time with the whole pandemic. I've had time to write my memoirs, so I'm writing a book on how to tackle the buffet. So that's what I have lined up next.
Oh my God, man! During the celebration, Otis lifts up Mandy Rose. They share a kiss. We all celebrate in unison. Otis got his girl. They go off. Otis is just hilarious. I love that the microphones pick everything up because Otis is just so funny, man. Like he was standing on the ramp and he's just like, "Pretty lady," and they just like, off. Like, holy shit! I loved every second of it. I will say this though. Mandy Rose is setting up to be the biggest fucking heel in the women's division when she turns on Otis. Ultimately, that's the only way this can go.
Totally. But like that whole segment was gold. I mean, that was probably the best feel good moment of WrestleMania this year. Like it kind of reminded me of like the Kofi moment a little bit from last year. You know what I mean?
This is Macho Man Miss Elizabeth stuff right here, man. You know?
No, I hear you. I mean, I'm just like, it would
have been even better had Mandy Rose been sitting in the empty audience, just watching. Oh yeah, it was a very good, very big feel good moment. Honestly, probably the most long-term booking story of both nights that comes to mind right now. I don't think
this started off. Let's say like this carried from the Rumble before Rumble.
Yeah, it started before the Rumble. Yeah, because they had that spot at the Rumble, Otis and Mandy.
Yeah,
this
may have been going on since last year. I'm not gonna lie to you. This may have been going on.
I think like December maybe last year.
I don't know.
Now that I think about it, every time they interacted, like he would always like, "Pretty lady, I'm coming." every time they'd fucking like interact, there's been something there. So there's been hints of this storyline for like years, maybe. Yeah, I think it goes back from the NXT days. I think they want to do this in NXT, but they nixed it over in NXT, and this is just perfect for main roster apparently.
Yeah, perfect, absolutely. Something else that was damn near perfect was the Edge versus Orton last man standing match.
God.
This match was losing me in the beginning, but when it ramped up towards the end, and they gave these guys time. Like I want to say this had to have been the longest match of the night. Maybe of the whole weekend.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why WrestleMania went over like 20 or 30 minutes more than last night, was because these motherfuckers probably just decided we're just gonna film all this stuff. There's no way they cut something. They have to show it. Let's just have a 37-minute match, and it's up to them to like decide if they want to cut anything. So I wouldn't be surprised if they filmed like a whole 40 minutes, like an hour worth of stuff, and they actually had to condense it to 37 minutes.
Yeah, I think the biggest cut I noticed was when the cameraman got knocked down, and then they cut over to them going into the storage area. I was like, I feel like that was like a rest stop for them. I was like, I bet those guys just chilled out for like 15 minutes, caught their breath.
So, if that was a planned rest spot, so do you feel like the spot was on purpose, or do you think they just ran with the footage of the cameraman falling down?
I think it was intentional. I think they knew what they were doing.
It was smooth. If it was,
yeah. But here, I'll run down the match because I took notes. Like I took way too many notes not to get these in here.
Go for it.
No. Because just to emphasize how much stuff they packed in here.
Yeah, it was a dense match.
So the match actually started off with Edge's entrance, waiting for Randy Orton's entrance. It's revealed that Randy Orton was disguised as one of the cameramen and hit a RKO before the match even began. The ref allows Edge to get to his feet. The match officially begins. My stream cut out for the initial minute But the brawl ended up going outside into the workout area of the Performance Center. At one point, Randy Orton, what are those hanging straps? I don't know what they are, man. I don't. Obviously go to the gym.
You're asking two other guys that probably are in worse shape than you are.
All right. Well, anyways,
we wouldn't know that.
Anyways,
Not
yeah.
a single idea.
Yeah. Randy Orton's trying to hang Edge with these straps, and then probably my most terrifying spot of the whole day, like of the whole match, was Randy Orton goes to pick up a dumbbell, and he's standing like in the squat rack, and Edge drop kicks that dumbbell, and Randy Orton in that squat rack around all that metal. I was like, that is way too much metal for you to be drop kicking and falling down with weights and plates and everything. It just looked terrifying, man.
Way too much metal.
Yeah, that workout area, they couldn't get out of that spot like quick enough for me because I'm an old man and I get scared, you know. But
Yeah.
anyways, they do eventually get out of the area. They go back to the office area. Edge hits a really creative elbow drop. There's a draping cage lighting over a steel table. Like, what meeting room has a solid steel? Of course, WWE's meeting rooms have the most heavy metal tables. But Edge is hanging.
It was preposterous.
Maybe that's where
but it
they
made perfect
listen
sense.
to heavy metal. Maybe that's a theme room where Triple H just listens to heavy
That's
metal
true.
as he
There you
books
go.
NXT. He's banging. Maybe it's a whole theme.
That's a
thing.
Triple H call right there, you know. But
Probably.
But yeah,
my
so
God.
there's the lighting that overhangs this their meeting room table has fenced in cage aesthetic to it, and Edge ends up hanging off that with Randy Orton laid out on the table and just drops honestly a 2-foot elbow drop.
It looked fucking nasty,
It
though,
did
man.
though. It was the
It
most-
hurt Edge more than it did Randy.
Yeah.
to be
Oh
honest.
yeah.
But oh man, so from there they went back to the production area. They brawled back out towards the ring again. Then they eventually went back through Jesus. That's actually in the hallways where he bumped into the cameraman, and then it scatters back to the storage area, which I guess every storage area in WWE just has ladders already set up and just laying around in random spots. Yeah, man. That's how
The biggest.
dude. That was the most comically sized ladder I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's that's the biggest missed opportunity is to not have one of them dive off that ladder.
Right?
That's what I want to see. That and them using the snacks. Either take a snack break.
Oh, the snacks that were laid out on
Yeah.
the table. Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that too.
exactly. Oh my gosh, that shit was good.
But this is where the match really picked up. Edge ends up putting Randy Orton through a table. Randy Orton's sat out on a table. Edge climbs up onto this platform style area, hits an elbow drop. It actually looks how long the match has been going. That may have been the finish, and we weren't even close, man. Randy ends up getting up. They brawl towards a truck. Randy hits a draping DDT to Edge on the truck, which was nice. Edge still relenting, still getting up. They find themselves on top of the NXT production truck, where Edge, for one, refs need to get paid more. That ref had no business standing up there with two men fighting to kill each other, and the ref's yeah, I'm just gonna try and maneuver around on top of this production truck. But
What about the
if
cameraman?
not, they need better health care because they just get into so much shit, and apparently they're fragile as all fuck. They need all the health care in the world. At least give them that.
Jesus Christ. But no, Edge ends up hitting a spear. Randy gets up. Edge goes for a second spear, gets RKO'd. This prompts Randy Orton to walk under the comically large ladder, which may have been his undoing. It's very bad luck, you know. Grabs some chairs to go for the concerto. He takes a chair shot to Edge's back, and then he looks like that's gonna be it because Edge has got the twitchy finger thing going on again. And out of nowhere, Edge pops up before Randy can hit the concerto, puts Randy in that triangle choke, similar to fucking hell, man. AEW guy, AEW.
Jake Hager.
Thank you, Jake Hager. Jesus, I was
How'd the
avoiding.
NXT guy answer the AEW guy?
Hey, look, man,
About an AEW question and reference. Like, that's hilarious to me.
but he chokes Randy the fuck out, and the ref starts to count, and Edge literally drops an F-bomb. They had to bleep it out.
Yeah.
Stop fucking counting, and then Edge literally out of nowhere, Edge just starts crying like a fucking baby, dude, and has to muster up the courage to put down like it was like a family member. It was like he had to kill his own family member. Dude was crying. He had to psych himself up, and then he dropped the chair on Randy Orton. At this point, they shouldn't even have freaking counted. Edge could have just said, "Look, it's over," and just walked off into the sunset. But
basically,
yeah, the ref runs the count, hits 10. And Edge looked absolutely devastated at the end of the match. Like this killed Edge inside to do it to Randy, which was nice, man. Wow, very very good acting.
Yes,
from both the guys. But the match was gnarly,
Agreed.
man.
Agreed.
And then
what I liked about that match is that it kind of lended itself to the no audience situation too, because. Even in a match where there is an audience, dudes are like, when they're fucking around backstage, like, you don't get the big pops,
Right.
or typically as big of pops for the stuff, So I thought it worked really well, especially with, selling the emotional stuff too. It was,
I think the only thing, and I saw a lot of people complaining about this, even Chris Jericho tweeted about this, is that I felt like the commentators, like I know they're trying their best, but I felt like they were doing a disservice to that match, and it almost took me out of it because they were so quiet. Like everyone in my household was like, why can I hear them so much? I know there's no crowd, but there's no announcers. They're not commentating the big matches. They're just like, oh, well, that could be it right there. Edge just hit him with a concerto, and he's like, "Wow, that might be it." Like, the fuck, Selly? He almost killed the man,
I
felt it was real somber. Like,
I think that's but I think that was the intention, because we've said it before leading into Mania. There are moments in those empty arenas that really accent the emotion in a lot of matches, and they probably knew that. Listen, this match is going to be emotional. Let's let the audio pick up Edge and Randy over commentators. I think that was an intentional thing.
I was thinking that too. I just don't think for me it didn't work.
Yeah, like exactly. I personally I didn't really notice it. It didn't detract me. I was hook, line, and sinker the whole time. But I could see that. I could definitely see that because it's wrestling. But we broke a lot of wrestling conventions tonight. Let's just be honest. If that's the convention that we're going to complain about breaking, boy, we have a long night. Mojo Rawley was then chased, because that's the perfect way to follow this up, is with Mojo.
right?
Jeez.
Who the hell are all these wrestlers, and where did they come from? I didn't recognize a single wrestler.
I feel like they're all performance center people that, like, I recognize the dude in like the striped pink singlet as like a guy like as an extra for like NXT or something. Like one of those like jobber guys that they use. But
they literally looked like Adam Rose's Rosebuds and No Way Jose's Conga Line guys. Like there was just
a more serious, like they decided to enter wrestling school, and then this is them trying to like have their Mania moment. They just left the goofy costumes at home.
Dude, they were not practicing social distancing. I counted like 20 of them. All right.
Yeah.
But they all congregated on top of Mojo on the outside of the ring, and this prompted Gronkowski to do a coffin drop off the crow's nest perch onto this whole crowd of people, man. And then he ended up pinning Mojo, and he won the 24/7 championship. And then he took off, and we'll touch up on that once we get to it, man, because there's a joke here. But before we get there, let's talk about this really quick. We have a match between the Street Profits, Austin Theory, Angel Garza, who are accompanied by Zelina Vega. Everybody out there has been on main roster for less than a year. Hell, some of them have been on main roster for less than a month. And so the only person that's been out there for more than a year was Zelina Vega. Like,
I'll give you a perfect example of this. My brother doesn't watch wrestling like that. He's become more of a casual fan, and he'll occasionally watch like the big pay-per-views or the big matches. And he walked out for this match, and he's like, "Who the fuck are all these guys? I don't know anyone in this match. This doesn't even feel like WrestleMania." And then at that point, I'm like, "Damn, you know what? Now that he mentions it, yes, it's a Raw tag title match, but Austin Theory is the big one out there. But at least Angel Garza and Andrade make sense because you could say, well, there's a storyline being built here. They slowly been forming this alliance because of Selena Vega. But
I don't even think Austin Theory's been signed for a year in general, let alone be.
He hasn't. He's been on WWE for like I want to say like under 6 months, maybe 3 or 4.
He's only like 21 or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
he's
super
very young.
fucking
Yeah.
young.
Yeah, he's stupid young.
I'll say this though. So obviously the drama's not there because you don't have the long-term booking and story. But these guys still showed up to wrestle. There's a lot of moonsaults, dives, great tag team wrestling all around. My favorite part was Montez Ford recreating the botch, doing the WrestleMania and then dive over the ropes. And he landed 95% on top of Angelo Dawkins because it was Theory out there to catch him. And they were like, no, we're not taking that risk again. Like, I promise you, like, they just thought about that botch from last week. And Dawkins is like, yeah, I'll be there to catch you this time, bud. And that's all I could think. I was like, that had to have been intentional. But Street Profits, not, this was the most sure thing, I think, on the whole night.
Yeah.
They ended up getting the win. Austin Theory hits, I believe, his finisher on Dawkins. But during the pinfall, Montez Ford hits him with the frog splash, allowing the Street Profits to pick up the win. Afterwards, the heels do a post-match beatdown, primarily primarily on Montez Ford, and then out comes for their WrestleMania moment, Vince's girl, Mrs. Bianca Belair, man, to run in. That was dope. I'm not gonna lie.
That was a cool moment. I like that a lot too.
Me nitpicking, I feel like we didn't know what was happening. I felt like, wait, someone has to show up. Wait, Bianca, she has to show up, and she just started running. I kind of wanted to see her music hit and just have that whole thing. Yes, they ended the whole thing with her song playing, which I thought was the perfect choice to do there. But man, I would have popped at home. I didn't pop initially until she was already in the ring.
Yeah.
So, other than that, though, I thought it was perfect. I thought it was great. I don't know if this is a call up. That was a big question I want to ask you guys. Is this her moving to Raw because she was on the Corey Graves podcast saying that the hardest thing about being on the road right now is being away from her husband Montez Ford, and that if she had to choose, she'd rather be on Raw so they could be together more often and would be able to see him more frequently. And Bianca's not in the ladder match this Wednesday. She lost to Charlotte Flair. She lost to Rhea Ripley. I don't know if there's anything else for her to do in NXT. If they're not going to put the title on her, might as well move her up to Raw, especially if Charlotte's going to spend a couple weeks on NXT.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on it, but if I'm gonna make a decision, like if I'm gonna make a guess, I'd guess that she's being called up. If this isn't the official call up, it's coming very soon. I think honestly, she goes well with the Street Profits. I'm not sure if this would just be like, okay, team them up and have like a faction here, but the sight of all three of them, I thought looked really cool. I thought she added some gravitas to the Street Profits.
What they need to do is make sure they don't do what they did with Naomi and the Usos early on, where she just becomes a third Street Profit member, and she needs to stay who she is because I'm sorry, she's the bigger star out of all three of them. She's the biggest star. She can catapult.
Montez Ford is the star.
Well,
Montez Ford is the star, man.
Montez Ford reminds me of like Sheldon Benjamin, someone he beat Triple H 3 times and he never had that title. I know for a fact Bianca Belair is going to be a women's champion. I can't say that about Montez Ford being a WWE champion.
But we'll know, man.
We'll see. The whole point is that I don't want her to just start doing Street Profit things. If she's establish the relationship there, establish that there's a unity in there, but don't go ahead and have her like become one of them. Have her be her own person. Let her be able to go out there on her own and earn her own stuff, or else she's gonna get that stigma of being Montez's wife. Just like a lot of people, like unfortunately, a lot of female wrestlers, they get that stigma. I'm like, oh, they start chanting for whoever they're dating at that point.
Yeah.
Well, the commentators didn't put her over as Montez Ford's wife. They just said Bianca Belair. They actually didn't make any connection between
That's
her
true.
and the tag team.
And that's perfect.
true.
That's how they should do it going forward.
Yeah. But let's be honest, it's WWE. They'll trip over their feet in the first 2 weeks, and then she'll be out there, and they'll look like the Dollar General version of fucking New Day. Like that's what they'll do. There'll be nothing but comedy between the three of them.
Oh no.
They'll do high school skits. I could see it now. That's what it'll be. Sorry.
I hope not.
Yeah, me too, man.
But you're probably right.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Someone else who was very bad at their job, Gronkowski, apparently just quit his job mid-hosting because Titus O'Neil is now in the crow's perch and in the crow's nest, and says that he'll be hosting from here on forward because Gronkowski ran off with the belt. Like, dude, how much did WWE pay you for your hosting gig, and you're gonna bail like halfway through, man? That's
unprofessional.
That is super unprofessional, man. Oh, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. A lot of people were calling for Titus O'Neil to trip outside of the crow's nest, like, for him to fall.
No, I'm not with that one because he might have actually injured himself if he did.
Right.
It's a big boy, man. Oh man, it was funny, but we got the SmackDown Women's Fatal 5-Way match for the SmackDown Women's Championship, featuring Sasha Banks, Lacey Evans, Tamina, Naomi, and Bayley. This match was way better than I ever anticipated. Because when they
I think it was the best match of the night to me, in my opinion.
I can see that.
I'm trying to think over the night. Yeah, I could see that argument.
Over the night, I thought they told the better story. It wasn't it, and again, low expectations going into it. I was really hyped for this match more than the Rhea Charlotte match and any of the other women's matches, just because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I felt like this one had the most. Maybe it was because of our predictions that we did in the group chat. Maybe that's why. But this one, there was element of unpredictability. You weren't sure who was going to win. You can make a case for Naomi just to like swerve. Lacey Evans towards the end, you could really legitimately see a case.
Yeah.
Oh man, Lacey could win. Sasha or Bayley, either of them could have walked away with the title, and there was suspension of disbelief towards the end where you could believe any one of those women could have won, and that's where I feel like wrestling's at its best. Like just going back to watching the Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, like Untold documentary that they did, and I'm not saying this is Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels. I'm just saying that going into that match, you don't know who's going to win that match, and that's where wrestling's at its best, where you just like you forget who might actually win, and that's perfect. Because like going into like other stuff like Drew McIntyre, Brock Lesnar, you kind of knew that Drew might win, or like Edge and Randy, you knew that Edge had to win for that story, or even Otis and Dolph, Otis had to win, or else what's the point?
Yeah, man. They weaved a lot of good stories in this match. Like a lot of good little stories in the match. It started with Tamina being billed as like the giant of the women. So all four ganging up on her and her disbanding them. Go ahead, Ben. Her disbanding. I like how he whispered. It's like
I didn't even notice.
You're on a microphone, man.
I didn't even notice. I just heard you say, "Yeah, go ahead, man," and I saw him get up. I'm like, "What the fuck?"
If you're listening just on the podcast version, Kevin Crazy dipped out. He's probably peeing or something.
Yeah, probably couldn't hold it in.
But yeah, so it started out with Tamina being billed as the giant, and then she got disbanded, and it turned into like the heel tag team versus the face tag team, Sasha and Bayley taking on Lacey and Naomi. Then we even had spots where a Team Bad looked like they might reunite between Tamina, Naomi,
I thought
and
that was
Sasha Banks. Nice little callback, but Naomi super kicked. Dude, Naomi was literally lining up the super kick while Sasha was still looking at her. Like, that was the funniest thing to me. Like, she was like, Team Bad, and then, like, got propped for it, and then Sasha had to turn away.
Tamina was the one that hit the super
But that's what I meant, yeah. But Tamina lined it up before Sasha even turned away, man.
That's hilarious.
It was.
I thought that was great.
It was so funny. But it ended up Tamina was the first one eliminated. All 4 women pinned her. Sasha and Bailey were sticking to their whole no wedge is gonna come between us. So any chance they could team up together, they did. They took out Tamina. Naomi started to fight back at a 2-on-1 advantage because Lacey Evans was taken out. Naomi was valiant, but ultimately fell to Sasha Banks' bank statement. And then it came down to the 2-on-1, and this is where the intensity started to ramp up. You got Bailey and Sasha taking on an injured Lacey Evans, and they were just laying into Lacey. She looked like she didn't stand a chance, and it looked like we were going to get the Sasha-Bailey face-off as the final 2. But as luck would have it, at one part, Bailey was going to run up and knee Lacey Evans while Sasha was holding her. Lacey gets out of the way. Sasha gets kneed in the head, is taken out. You get this nice one-on-one matchup between Bailey and Lacey. By the time Sasha comes through, you start to see the dissension. Like, what'd you do? Why'd you hit me? Bailey's trying to explain herself. Lacey Evans comes flying in with the women's right. Bailey initially pushes Sasha out of the way, but then when Lacey goes for the women's right, she redirects the move into Sasha. And then the big kicker is she didn't try to break up the pin when Lacey pinned Sasha Banks. So that was really good. I was convinced that Lacey Evans was going to end up winning because I mentioned.
No, because I think I don't know if that was just a camera thing, but I noticed Sasha was still on the outside. When Naomi and Tamina were eliminated, you saw them like just disappear from ringside. Sasha, throughout the entirety of that match, there were a bunch of cuts where you could see her like in the left-hand side of the ring. So I knew she was going to come into play towards the end of this match.
Well, yeah, I see what you're saying, but I figured it would be to benefit Lacey because, like I said, I was explaining in the group chat, and I know you disagree with me, Vince, but of course you're wrong. But I said that I believed Lacey was going to win because Sasha and Bailey have such a heated rivalry when they're going head to head. It's kind of one of those things you can argue doesn't need the belt, and then you could have a separate storyline going on over the championship. But
wrong, 100% wrong.
As fate would have it, you were right. Sasha was waiting in the wings. Just as Lacey starts to come back, looks like she might round out a victory. Sasha comes in, interferes, but it's no DQ. Hits the backstabber on Lacey. Bailey gives the original Dirty Deeds. I don't know what they're calling that move. I forget.
I don't know.
It's a face planting Dirty Deeds. And picks up the victory. Sasha comes in, looks kind of somber, though it doesn't look like she, like anything's going to happen between the two. Sasha puts the belt on Bailey. Sasha dips. Bailey starts cheering, says no one's on her level. Very good storytelling all around. Very good match. Absolutely. Very, very good match.
I want to give Sasha an Oscar throughout entire weekend because from the backstage interview to her just staring down like Bailey during her entrance, staring down Bailey at the end, like you saw, it was just like facial like acting. There was nothing told, nothing was being said, but you can read her side, everything she was thinking. Me personally, the way I was translating the entire thing was, and I was saying this to like my sisters who I was watching the show with, I was like, look, Sasha's the type of person that even though she's smart, she'll be like, no, fuck Bailey, she's over here, she only cares about herself. She's the type of person that would help Bailey win that match, even though she knows what's going on, just so she's the one that takes the title off of Bailey and hurts her even more because that's what she wants. She'll let Bailey hold on to this title and make sure that she's the one to take it. That's where this is going. That's why I feel like it needs the title because it's always been about the title. It's not about who's the better wrestler. It's been about the title. It's very similar to Jericho and Kevin Owens. I felt like that I was hurt by taking the Universal title off of Kevin Owens and putting it on Goldberg. Just like that
like
feud.
Every other time they put shit on Goldberg.
Exactly.
WWE cannot help themselves, man. They cannot help themselves.
I think, but the good thing with them, unfortunately, is that the entire SmackDown Women's locker room has been cleared away. There's no one else there. It's literally only Sasha and Bailey. You know where they're going. And leading up into this, there were reports that they pivoted from having this match at Mania to saving it to when there's a crowd, and that maybe even a B-level pay-per-view or a SummerSlam or Survivor Series where they can give them like a good 20 or 30 minutes, just like they did with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, and let them tear the house down. Because let's be honest, in the regular WrestleMania, that's 6+ hours originally how it was slated to be, they would have maybe gotten like 10, 15 minutes, if that, and it wouldn't have delivered and lived up to the expectations that so many fans wanted to see.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's very true. So here's the polarizing part of the night, folks. We finally get the Firefly Funhouse match. A lot of us were excited after watching last night's Boneyard match. Kevin over here, he was a little bit more critical of the Boneyard match. You said it wasn't quite your cup of tea. Did you go back and watch it a second time, or did you just leave it?
Yeah, I did actually, because my girlfriend wanted to watch it.
Hell yeah,
and
man.
so I watched it. I still feel the same way about it. I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing about it, man, is that, like, I like to still pretend that kayfabe exists. Okay? And I think that
He's been hanging around Rob too much.
that it's fun to like, you know, to have kayfabe. And I feel like a match like that is like when you're a little kid and, like, you still want to believe in Santa Claus, but you know Santa Claus doesn't exist. But then you catch your parents fucking wrapping your Santa Claus presents. That's what watching a match like that feels like to me. So it takes, like, all the magic out of wrestling for me.
But if anything,
Like,
it interjects more because it allows for magic and more cinematic tricks.
Yeah, actually, I would say that.
You guys are fucking wrong.
It allows to suspend disbelief, man, more. No. So this match, I will say this. I'm going to go on record and say it wasn't quite as entertaining as the Boneyard match, and only because
Was it even a match?
Well,
I feel like you can argue that this wasn't a match.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's why I liked it better.
Yeah, if you
I swear to God.
I don't get the logic, Kevin,
know,
but I
man.
love you nonetheless.
But I will say the ending became so abrupt. Like, I was waiting for the final act. I was like, okay, well, you just experienced Act 1. We're wrapping up Act 2. All right, Act 3 is where this match is gonna really. We're gonna see the action and everything, and then it was just over. That was it, and it took me by surprise because I was literally typing in the chat like, "Hold on, we're probably gonna get a match portion where Cena and the Fiend will fight." You know,
Nope.
and
No, I knew it was over once, like, the Mr. Rogers, Bray Wyatt counted 3, 1, 2, 3. That's how they did it. There was no ref there.
But really quick, we'll try to run it down. Is the best. This was pretty much like a love letter to the past, like, 3 or 4 decades of wrestling. They did parodies of 80s wrestling. They did parodies of stuff that happened in the 90s. Cena cosplayed as when he debuted against Kurt Angle, and Bray Wyatt was essentially Cena was drugged with acid. Is the best way to describe this.
No, that's what I was feeling like. You said, I think we're just seeing an acid trip through John Cena's eyes. So, like, the match probably actually really took place.
Yeah.
But that's how Cena was seeing the whole thing.
Yeah, my whole thing was Cena was drugged with acid. And at any point, we were going to cut back from what we were watching to, like, what was really happening, and Cena was having a seizure in the middle of a ring.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I was expecting. But, no, so my favorite part of the whole thing, the fist. The fist returned.
Yes.
The fist.
I thought that was cool.
The SmackDown fist from the old set was actually out there. That was cool. But Cena came out as the prototype. Bray Wyatt was they just recreated these scenes.
By the way, I called all of this on last night, and even on the SmackDown going into it. I said I want that in this match we're gonna see John Cena go to the prototype, to Thugonomics, to old school Cena, and Bray Wyatt's gonna go
Did
back.
You call
to his...
NWO Cena though?
I did not call NWO Cena.
That was a shock.
That was fucking dope. I kind of want to see NWO be back as, like, a John Cena new thing. Like, I want him to bring back NWO.
The puppets were all there. There's no way for me to articulate this that well. You just have to watch it. Some of the highlights where, like I said, the decades of wrestling parodies that they were doing. The Vince McMahon puppet on commentary saying that's such good shit. Yes,
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
They did the meme
Yeah.
The
And
the
then
thing that I took from this match, sorry, not to cut you off again, but I feel like the best thing about this match, the best way to describe it is that this is just a bunch of Easter eggs, and it rewards you for being a fan and like a hardcore fan of the wrestling business, being a fan of Bray Wyatt, John Cena, the '90s, the '80s, just knowing insider stuff, just the such good shit stuff that you were just mentioning about Vince McMahon, that will fly over your head if you don't know what you're talking about. But because you know what it is, it means that much more.
Yeah, and I think that's why like casual fans or newer fans, like I think Rob probably would be primed to hate this because there's so many references to wrestling that Rob never witnessed. You know what I mean? And granted,
I never witnessed it either.
yeah, I was gonna say granted, and that doesn't mean if you have witnessed this stuff that you're gonna like it either. Because once again, with these cinematic pre-taped versions of these matches, it is a it's for selective taste. I liked it. Like I said though, for me, it fell on his face at the very end because I wanted to see Cena for a moment, like just like, oh wait, okay, it's time to fight y'all saw Spider-Man: Far From Home. And when he realizes when he realizes that he's in those projections and then everything around him isn't real, and it finally clicks and he starts to fight back. I wanted to have that moment with Cena. Like he finally can shake off the illusion, but at that point it's too late. Fiend's got him. It's over. But it ultimately did just come down to the Fiend popped up behind Cena, took him out with the mandible claw, and that was it. There was.
Unfortunately, within the confines of kayfabe, as much as your acid trip theory is probably the more plausible solution and what would happen in the real world, within kayfabe, what happened is him going into that fun house is him being able to just like mind fuck John Cena, just like Mysterio, but everything is real. Within that construct, it was real. That's why John Cena, when he was Thugonomics, he could only talk in rhyme. That's why when he was prototype Cena, when he first debuted, all he could say was ruthless aggression and do the strike. That's why,
that was good.
That's
that was
why
hilarious.
John Cena doing like the workout stuff or the NWO stuff. That was Bray Wyatt being the puppeteer,
just trapping him. Trapping him in in those settings.
Yeah, but as you went along, like you can notice that John Cena was being more self-aware and being able to like know what's happening to him, but unable to prevent any of it from happening. And that's the cool thing. And again, like, wasn't a match. I didn't like the ending because it was too abrupt. I felt like, okay, that's it. That was no match. I felt like this would have been perfect for a Monday Night Raw episode, but for WrestleMania, a culmination or like the showcase of the Immortals, even how it was, you look at the Boneyard match, I felt like you need to have a brawl in there. You need to actually have some kind of wrestling, even if it was in that empty ring with like the pitch blackness around it. I thought that would have been perfect. Maybe have one of the puppets as the referee. I thought that would have
Rambling Rabbit, man.
yes. It was very good. Again, too many fucking Easter eggs. Like even like small little thing. Notice how Bray Wyatt, when he was parodying Eric Bischoff, he was wearing Wolfpack NWO, and Cena was wearing the black and white Hollywood NWO, and they butted heads, and that was a feud within NWO. So that was like a nice little tiny Easter egg right there.
I like that.
Little tiny things. Go back and watch that, and just like go frame by frame, you'll find something else.
Yeah.
I thought for what it was, I liked it. I enjoyed it. A lot of people were giving praise to Matt Hardy for like bringing this up, but someone I want to mention is Jeremy Borash. He's the one that helped produce this stuff with Matt Hardy, and I want to say that he had a good hand in creating the Boneyard match and this Firefly Funhouse match.
Yeah, man, it was very, very, in my opinion, good. But this is definitely going to be the draw. Like this will draw the line in the sand for a lot of people. You're either going to be about it or not about it. I'm about it. And even then, it unfortunately wasn't perfect because of the abrupt ending. Kev, you said you preferred this over the Boneyard match, though.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
just it was surreal, and it was like a drug
to me.
wrestling.
Well, here's the thing. When it comes to like actual wrestling matches and things of that nature, like actual, these two dudes are gonna fight each other and shit. Like I want to feel like they're actually doing those things. Like it's really, really real, because like I feel like kayfabe is like, removing that fourth wall. You know what I'm saying? you know. And I feel like with something like, you know, the graveyard match, it totally put that fourth wall there for, you know what I'm saying? Where I didn't feel like an active participant in the match, because like even when I'm home, fucking yelling on my couch, like I still feel, you know, like I'm a participant in it. But like this, no, it felt like I was watching a movie, you know.
It was cool, man. It was cool. Rob fucking hated it, man. He was like, I literally am yawning right now. It's like Rob's so grumpy when he doesn't like something. Like, dude, he treats it like it's absolutely abysmal.
He'll drag his feet to his grave. No pun intended. So let me ask you this, Kevin. If the Boneyard match didn't do it for you, and a lot of people, like, you can do a poll right now, and they probably would say that the Boneyard match was one of, if not the best match of the entire weekend.
No, I know.
What was your best match, in your opinion, Kevin Crazy's best match of WrestleMania 36? Both nights or just tonight, either or?
Oh, I would say of both nights, I'd probably go with the 5-woman elimination match.
And that, Kevin, is the correct answer, because that's my answer. So we're on the same page. I thought that was the best match told in a story inside a ring, traditional wrestling wise. I thought it was the most traditional wrestling match there is. And ironic, being a Fatal 5-Way, there's nothing traditional about a Fatal 5-Way match whatsoever. But I thought that had the best story. After that, I would put the Boneyard match for me. But what about you, Kyle? Was it the Boneyard match the best match of the weekend? Or
no, man, it was Braun Strowman and Goldberg. Like, how could it not be that? No, I'm just
see. I didn't want to handicap the other ones. Obviously, that's the foregone conclusion. The best match.
Yeah, right. Oh God, dude, that match was just really quick, because last night I may have had a little too much to drink and I couldn't emphasize it enough about that. That was the absolute most crap match, but still got the most elation out of me for the finish. Like, the match was hot garbage, but watching Braun Strowman win the belt, dude, I think I cheered louder for that than anything else throughout the whole week. Maybe some stuff in the Boneyard match, because Boneyard match got me pretty hyped too. But watching,
you know what it's like? It's like going to McDonald's and ordering like a double cheeseburger or like a McDouble or like a Whopper, and or like Whopper Big Mac, and it looks terrible. It doesn't look appealing whatsoever, appetizing whatsoever. But you finish it and it's still satisfying. It still tastes good for whatever reason. That's what that was. That was your Big Mac moment of the weekend, Kyle.
And then later, when you have time to settle, you don't feel good about it anymore.
Perfect analogy. Perfect analogy.
Anyway, something that I'm going to feel good about much later on was the main event, man. Drew McIntyre taking on Brock Lesnar. This match did exactly what it was supposed to do. It didn't over-try. This, similar to Goldberg matches, we've learned that with Brock Lesnar, everybody just comes to the match with just maxed out finishers. Drew McIntyre hit a Claymore kick right out the gate. Brock Lesnar kicks out. From there, Brock Lesnar gets a hold of Drew McIntyre, F5s him 3 times. On the first one, Drew kicks out at 1. The second 2, Drew kicked out at 2. The third one, I thought was it. Because I mentioned to you guys, I was like, you know, this is supposed to be a surefire thing, but look at all the other surefire title matches we've had that went the other way, too. So when Drew kicked out, I was so happy. Paul Heyman's yelling at him.
Close.
Paul Heyman was like, just keep doing it. He can't keep kicking out. Just keep going. Just keep doing it. Like, which is the obvious logic for any wrestling match. Like, why stop after
he kicked out at 1, though? I thought he was gonna go Hulk Hogan on him and just be like, "You!" and starts doing the big boot and the leg drop. He goes really into gimmick. I mean, we saw Cena go NWO right before that match, so I'm like, anything's possible now.
That's true.
Why not?
That would have been awesome.
Brock and Drew, they start to do a little bit of wrestling, but it only gets like 20 seconds to 40 seconds in before Drew McIntyre hits his Claymore kick. And from there, it just went downhill for Brock. Drew hit the initial Claymore kick, didn't even bother with a pin, set him up for a second one. And then on the third one, didn't even let Brock get to his feet. Brock was on one knee, and Drew was yelling at Brock to look at him. He's like, "Look at me, Brock!" And then just nails him with the 4th Claymore kick of the match. Got the pin. Super happy, man. Unfortunately, this is like we knew this was gonna feel stale. Having no crowd to pop for Drew for conquering
Yeah.
the beast, the big culmination. Brock Lesnar, I don't think is gonna hit the peaks that he has for the last 4 or 5 years, where he's just been champion like almost Bruno Sammartino esque, just holding that belt. I think that's it for Brock. As
Yeah.
far as long-term championship, unless they get cold feet. And it is unfortunate that we don't get that celebration of fans. You don't have that happen in front of fans. But Drew tried to
Right.
make up for it, man. He was eyeing the camera. He was thanking the fans through the camera.
Sold it real well.
Yeah, very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
The way you make up for that, the very first WWE show that is live with a crowd, you have Drew McIntyre come out. You don't announce anything. You just play his fucking music and have him come out to the ring and let him soak that in. And let them. And for the first time, I'm gonna miss you deserve it chant. I think it's so totally earned.
Oh yeah.
This man went from being like a quick call up from FCW to being the chosen one, to being 3MB, to being released, to working his way through the indies, through the UK scene. He went through Impact Wrestling, was a task in of itself. He comes back to NXT, then gets to Raw, gets paired up with Dolph Ziggler, and that's usually like a sinking anchor for your entire career if you're paired up with Dolph. But he turned that around, won the Royal Rumble, and beat Brock fucking Lesnar, the guy that ended the streak. What a fucking story.
I know, man. I remember, not to toot my own horn, but I remember on Drew when he got called up to Raw, his very first night, man, I was talking to my wife. I was like, watch, that is the dude. I was like, that is the future of this business. And she, to this day, she don't get it. She's like, it's just, he's not her cup of tea. But I was like, this guy is everything pro wrestling personified. And he's
what's there not to get?
I know, man. But hey, look, man, like I said, that's the thing about pro wrestling, man, is everybody can kind of latch on to types that they like, man. It's a mixed bag. But
so you're saying it's
Fuck
a
the
buffet
boneyard match.
Oh my gosh, Kevin, get over it. Oh man.
But yeah, go ahead, man.
I was gonna say that is it kind of weird that both world title matches were one of the quickest, most lackluster matches out of the entire weekend? Like other than like Elias and Corbin was probably like the worst
are
one.
you talking about the Universal and the World Championship?
I'm talking about both of them. Yeah, the
Yeah, they
Universal
were
and
both-
the World.
No, I knew it.
Both
Almost
super short,
almost
obviously.
carbon copies of
Yep.
each other.
No, I knew it
like
when
you
you-
have the younger guy winning, then you go ahead and just like have them like just hit a nonstop finishers.
But you had to think about it. Those two wrestlers that were in the match, that's the architecture for the match. Vince is out here about to beat his nephew. I'm doing my show.
Nah.
No, but it's a Goldberg match and a Brock Lesnar match.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
like the only variation you could have had is if Brock Lesnar was facing a smaller guy, then that lends Brock Lesnar to have a more technical match. But I knew it was Goldberg in there, and then with Braun Strowman, I was like, oh no, they're gonna come out, they're gonna match their finishers, and that's gonna be it for both matches. You are right though, to have that happen twice over the course is something to speak about, but I don't have an issue with it. I would have had an issue with watching a long Goldberg match or a long Brock Lesnar match. I honestly, they went perfect in my mind. I wouldn't have changed a thing about either match.
The Brock match, I feel both matches were affected by the lack of crowd because I feel like the Brock and Drew match would have gone a little bit longer. There would have been more of a story being told inside there, other than like let's see who can hit their finisher the most and keep the other guy down. That was the story of that one, and then changing Roman from Braun, like Roman, I think the story would have been Goldberg would have like initially done his initial flurry, and then Roman just moves on. He tackles it on initially. He weathers through the storm, and then you can see Goldberg getting older and older, and then the younger guy is just having his his number every step of the way until like Roman just looks at Goldberg. It's like, man, you're old. Get out of here, part timer, and he takes his title. That's where I thought the Roman match was gonna go. It's like they were gonna really emphasize Goldberg's old. He's the part timer. Roman's the future. He's the now. He's the guy. That's where I felt like that match was going to go.
I feel like the match would have ended or would have gone the exact same, except I think Roman would have ate a jackhammer and kicked out. That's the only difference I think would have played out.
Yeah.
Is I think Goldberg would have hit a couple spears, got Roman up for a jackhammer. Roman would have kicked out, and then Roman would have came back, mashed his finishers, Superman punches, spears. That's it. I don't like I said. I don't. You can't book a Goldberg match any different anymore. We can fantasy book it. We can fantasy book how cool it would be for it to go a certain way, but what we're actually going to get is not really going to change, in my opinion. But man, that was it, man. That was WrestleMania weekend. What a fucking weekend. Granted, WrestleMania kind of is a show that probably should not have happened, but since it did happen, I'm happy it did. As long as everybody that was involved in participating in it and creating it didn't fall ill to what's going on in the real world. So I'm happy, man. The product was as good as I think you can get it, man. What do you guys think?
I thought it was really good. Obviously, the stuff that just didn't hit home was because of circumstances out of their control. Like Elias Corbin, that match wouldn't have happened at WrestleMania. I'm pretty sure they were limited in terms of who they could have had. Like Corey Graves and Carmella were quarantined. Rey Mysterio and Dana Brooke quarantined. You couldn't have these people. Andrade gets injured like a week before they film. Like unfortunately, they just string of bad luck after bad luck, and they made the best out of the situation. And it's become a saying now, turning chicken shit into chicken salad. And I think they did that.
Yes, sir. They did.
Yeah.
They changed it from one giant buffet meal from one night and gave us a 2-night spectacular thing. And the best thing out of this whole situation, if you want to be an optimist, they might have found the formula for WrestleMania going forward.
That, and also they may have found ways to book Undertaker matches to keep him looking good, because the buzz online, most people are saying these are some of the best, this is the best Undertaker match that he's probably had in 5 years.
Yeah, because it wasn't a goddamn match. He was... I want to actually be afraid of the Undertaker. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, watch him in the ring and you won't be. Watch that man. Watch him wrestle a full match, and you won't be. This is
that shouldn't goddamn be wrestling. He should be hanging it up. I want to remember when I was 10 years old, and I heard that shit, and I shit my pants every time. I don't want to be thinking about him play fighting with AJ Styles in the woods.
Hell no, that was awesome, man. They had Metallica, they had lasers and fire.
Yeah,
man. Metallica's a bunch of bums. I don't care about Metallica.
Anyways, you guys, thank you for tuning into our recap. Make sure to tune in tomorrow, because we know that we're at least getting a Raw after Mania. So we'll go ahead and see how that goes, man. That's gonna be crazy. And then, that was the Fiend. He fell. Mean Gene too. Mean Gene fell over as well. Yeah. Thanks once again for joining us, man. We'll see you guys around on the next one.
Later, y'all.
Peace.